An obstacle stands in our hero's way. A monumental task of pain, torture, and determination.
What the hell is happening?
A challenge never before attempted.
What are you talking about? Like, I'm at least the 6th YouTuber to try this out.
An army of epic proportions must be painted to perfection. But time is against us.
Hey buddy, can you relax? I'm just trying to paint here.
There is no time to relax when you must complete an army in 24 hours.
Look, you're not helping out here, dude.
With no time left on the clock, our hero seems...
Hey, pal, I still have 23 plus hours left. Come on, give me a chance. "51 models, 2,000 points of Caradron Overlords. Can it be done? Probably not. But we shall at least give it a shot. Welcome to Dice Chatter, folks. This is Donnie, your host for this video, but I guess I am the host for all of my videos. Anywho, I've decided to try out this lofty goal of painting an army in 24 hours just like so many other YouTubers have before me. A lot of their ideas, plans, tips, and tricks will be implemented in my creation, and hopefully, I can learn from their successes. Before we get into the painting, let's go over the rules I've set for myself. I have a little LED timer so that you folks and myself can easily keep track of my progress. I'm giving myself 24 hours for this challenge, but have decided to spread that out over a couple days. This gives me the chance to relax, eat, sleep, and of course not paint. To be honest, I really don't think I could paint for 24 hours straight, as I'd probably go crazy. Another rule that has been put into place is that I've already finished all the basing for the 51 models. I figure some folks don't really do any basing, so me going ahead and tackling that project beforehand shouldn't be much of an issue. Rule number 3, all of the models are already primed and ready to go. I just used my airbrush and primed them all black. And the final stipulation for this challenge is that I'm not using an airbrush for any of the painting processes. This is for 2 reasons. One, I want to show that you, the viewer who does not own an airbrush, can make some headway and still paint a quality product without the use of that wonderful tool. And number 2, which is probably the most important, is the fact that my airbrush compressor is hot garbage. After about 20 minutes of use, the thing overheats and shuts down. I should really think about getting a new one before my house burns down. Anyway, so that is it. I got my models, paints on my wet palette, and I'm ready to go. Let's get things rolling. Now, this painting challenge will be less of a tutorial for you folks. Here and there I may mention a special paint or technique, but that is not the intention of this video. My plan is to inspire and show you folks that you can set a lofty painting goal for yourself. Whether I am successful or not, and this goes for you as well, you took this challenge or any challenge you have created head on and saw it through to the end. And that is something to be proud of. I guess I should also mention a few artistic side notes as well. For my steampunk dwarves, I wanted them to be themed from a bubbling swamp deep in some wilderness. Their armor will be dirty, grungy, and oxidizing due to the intense moisture around them. This gives me the opportunity to be less neat and tidy with the paint job, so hopefully this speeds up the painting process. I also painted myself up a test model, and I created a basic painting plan for the troops. Even after painting a test model and having a rough plan of what to do, there were still a number of unknowns going into this challenge. I would definitely say this is something I probably should have put more thought into. The big dwarven boats, for example, I had no written out plan. I knew I wanted to do similar colors as the troops, but where to place everything was going to be a play it by ear situation. So I have a general plan for how I was going to paint my models. Now I needed to figure out the order in which they were going to be painted. I wanted to get stuff done which I knew I could paint the fastest, and that was the large block of 20 Arcanaut Company. These are the basic troops for the army. They have these little armor plates on their shoulders, a pistol, some type of melee weapon, and a handful of the models have different weapon loadouts. The key for these troops was to paint big blocks of color first, and honestly, this idea goes for everything I painted during this challenge. I want the first step of my painting for all the models to give me the chance to be messy. Allow me the opportunity to spread some paint on a section that may be a different color. So what if I get some green cloth color on an armor plate, especially if painting the armor is my last step in the painting process? To be a speed painter, it takes a lot of practice, but your painting plan is also a huge factor into getting that army done and on the table. For the next step coming up here, I will not be using your typical wash over the model. I will essentially be dumping every single model I paint in this army with a lovely coat of AK Interactive Streaking Grime. I learned about this technique from John over at his channel, Ninjon. He goes into way more detail than myself, and I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder. Link to his channel is in the description. But essentially, what you can do with this enamel paint is douse your model in it and then whisk away the excess with some mineral spirits. We'll do this later on in the video. Spoiler alert, the whisking away is my favorite part of the painting process. While all of that dries, I want to work on the other block of Arcanaut Company, and it is at this point where I thought I was going to be a lot farther than this. I figured I would have completed all the Arcanaut Company models in around 4 hours, and unfortunately that is not happening here. This error in judgment is not necessarily the end of the world. I know I have to keep pushing and paint as quick as I can if I am to complete this challenge. I can't bog myself down with some speculative number I came up with at the beginning of this challenge. I had little to no idea that these guys were going to take this long to paint up. Just gotta deal with it and keep moving on. As we're running close to that 5-hour mark and I'm still working on those last 10 Arcanaut Company doing the base coats, soon we are coming up to that whisk away step that I mentioned earlier. You know, the step that I said that was my favorite part of this whole challenge? So we have a bunch of models here. They all look gringy and dirty and gross, and that's what that AK Interactive enamel paint is supposed to do. The best part is taking it all off. The key here is to take it off and leave the dirty excess gross stuff in the recesses. We just make sure to take our little makeup sponge thingy here, dab it in some mineral spirits, and we just start wiping off all the excess. As you can see, the shine really pops back on the metallics. The green on the cloth also starts coming back to its old normal color, and just like we did on the face and the cloth, we just repeat this step all over the model. Just make sure you get the sword, the gun, the boots, the gloves, and as you can see here, we have a nice little comparison of what we just did and what the model looked like before. It's a pretty stark difference, and to be honest, it'll look great at the end of the day once we start adding in some highlights. So we take our time, do this step right, make sure everything looks good and neat and tidy. Well, as neat and tidy as you can make dirty clothes and cloth. And we finally take our first break. Alright folks, I want to pause here for a minute because we have hit what I feel like is a milestone. We have finished 20 of the Arcanaut Company models, which are probably the easiest to paint up, as well as a hero, the Aether Chemist. This took me a little bit under 8 hours. We have over a third of the models done, so that's great. Over a third of the models done in 8 hours. Technically, if we were painting all the exact same model, we might be good. But I have 3 big-ass boats coming up, and other models that I think will take longer to paint than these guys, so we'll see what's gonna happen. We got 16 hours left. Let's knock some models out. See, not everything is doom and gloom. Well, at least not yet. For the next number of hours, I will be working on some Endrin riggers. I had a difficult time figuring out how to adhere these models to my pill bottle / super strong magnet combination. These guys kept swinging all around during the painting process, and it was just another thing that was just a pain in the ass. Due to that fact, I knew this unit of flyboys was going to take a little bit of time for me to paint. I definitely learned through this process that there are going to be steps or models that you are just not excited to paint or go through. You just have to take a deep breath and know that it will be done soon enough. And that, hopefully, it'll look awesome in the end. Speaking of good-looking models, this brings up the topic of speed painting and finished product quality. A speed-painted model can look awesome, there is no doubt about that. In my opinion, practice and repetition are your main ways to achieve a quality look. Getting the feel of the brush, putting down a smooth base coat, watching for wash pooling, and doing quick intense highlights are things one can work on to make their 30-minute model look like they've taken 3 hours. I'm hoping by the end of my challenge I can at least achieve a decent tabletop quality model. And we can also leave the air quotes tabletop quality conversation for another video. Alright folks, we have done it. We have hit midpoint. We're at roughly 12 hours left in this channel, and we just finished our 30th model out of 51. Now, those stats seem pretty good. But the problem is we have 15 troops that might take a little bit longer to paint. 3 more heroes, 2 or 3 more heroes, and the big boats. Those things are going to take forever. So I think what I'll do is for the next 12 hours, I'm going to do it tomorrow, just so I can eat and be a normal person for a few hours of the day. And I'll start with these troops and maybe the heroes tomorrow. And if I can get those done quick enough, I'm hoping to at least get finished on 1 or 2 of the boats. We'll see though. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
And we never saw him again.
Just kidding. I'm back. And with a vengeance. I'm rested up, filled up on some food. I'll probably even have an energy drink at some point today, but I'm ready and excited to get painting. Less than half of my army is left to paint, and our goal is, well, starting to look more achievable. We shall see what the next 12 hours bring. So, let's get things started. At the start of our 12-hour painting mark, we begin with the Grunstock Thunders. We have 15 of them, and I also decide I will be throwing in another hero as well. The good thing about all these upcoming models is that they are mostly a single metallic color with just a couple other colors and metals mixed in. I figured these guys should be painted up pretty quick, and at this point of my journey I have had lots of practice on the other troops, so things should be smooth at the start of this day. I think starting your day with something more simple with a challenge like this is the key to success. I've done this step before. I know how these guys are going to look in the end. I can essentially just shut off the brain, listen to some music or podcasts, and just let the brush do the work. But on the other hand of this, these last handful of models are relatively copies of what I've already painted, and that can be extremely boring. I have taken to this challenge like an assembly line worker, and I will say that gets the models painted and on the table, but man, do you feel drained after that process. There is just something in my brain that just pulls me away from doing this. The monotony of everything is just not my style. When not trying out some speed painting challenge, I generally keep my max model count painting at one time around 5 dudes. I feel this is the perfect number for me, and when you are finished, you feel accomplished and ready for that next small batch. Now, by no means am I saying I am not satisfied when I just block painted up 15 plus models in one sitting, but I'd argue the mental strain and overall annoyance of painting that many guys at the same time is just not worth the end goal enthusiasm. But of course, your mileage may differ from mine. Alright folks, we are back, and I just finished 15 Thunders and a single hero. So I just finished up 16 models. We are at the 7 hour and 20 minute mark, and I have 5 models left. This is actually doable. The problem is 3 of those 5 models are the big boats. So I think next what I'll do is I'll start on one of the smaller boats and a hero, and we'll just hope the boats go well and that they go quick. I'll see you guys in a few more hours. Look at me being generally optimistic for a change. Well, we shall see how long that lasts. I had a little over 7 hours when I started the little airship, and if you remember, I mentioned I did not have an overall painting plan for the bigger vessels closer to the beginning of this video. I can tell you now that this, well, it was a huge error. I couldn't tell you how much faster I could have painted the airship if I'd maybe done a test model, or maybe had written out a painting plan for it, but what I can say is that it would have at least given me more time to work on other models. And in a challenge all about, speed painting, time is definitely your most precious tool. While painting the airship, I really was missing out on being able to use my airbrush. For some sections of the models, I had to do layer after layer to just get a nice smooth surface. Some sections may have even been up to 4 passes with the brush just to get the panels looking perfect. The layering process for the sky vessel was definitely the biggest time sink here. On a positive note though, I wanted to minimize the sub-assembly for the boat, and at the start I was a little nervous about keeping some of the dwarven troops inside the boat without painting them separately. It turns out, when a dwarf is mostly hidden by all equipment, guns, a steering wheel, and a big golden ball above their heads, the little details you miss or skip are not noticed in the end product. Now, you personally may pick out these details when you look at the model, but that opponent across the table from you will have no idea and think you just have an awesome looking model. Now, this idea also leads into another topic that I've yet to touch on. There will be parts of your army during this painting process that you wish you could have boosted up the detail, or maybe that spot between the big gun and the dwarf belly that never saw any paint. The good part about these things is that they will never be noticed, so there is no reason to worry yourself about getting into every single minute detail while speed painting. It's a race that you want to win and get the golden medal. Sometimes, you have to cheat and cut a few corners if you want to defeat all those in front of you, and our steroids in this scenario is not painting sections of your model that won't see the light of the day. After some grungy detailing and wiping away the excess carnage on the airship, we do some highlights over the metals and the panels, and our dwarven boat is ready to hit the skies. Alright folks, we're back at the desk, and good news is I finished a big old ship and he's on his base and it looks pretty damn good. But unfortunately, that's all I did. I am at the hour and 40-minute mark, and I have 4 more models left, 2 of those being big ships, and one of them even way bigger than this guy. So out of the other 2 models, I'll at least do the 2 heroes, and I'll finish that up for the rest of the hour 40. I am extremely burned out at this point, so just doing these 2 guys will just be nice and easy, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. So there is not much more time left on the clock, and it seems I will not beat the challenge I have set for myself. 51 models in 24 hours is a lot, and is definitely way more models than I have ever painted in one very long sitting. Despite the fact that I did not hit this 51 mark, doesn't mean this challenge was a bust. Sure, I didn't meet that goal I set for myself, but damn it, I crushed into an army and painted lots and lots of dwarves. That alone is a success in my book. And I don't know about you, but watching this back as I edit this video and do the voiceover, what I have accomplished is an inspiring thing. I see myself tackling those last few models left with ease and with no fear. I know what my plans are for those guys, and it looks like I can take a little bit more time adding in details and marks on the airships. Also, I don't believe I mentioned this at the start of the video, but Kharadron Overlords, in my opinion, have some of the most detailed models in Age of Sigmar. It just goes to show that even detailed, difficult pieces can be hammered out if you got the gumption, skill, and plan to do so. As time begins to expire here, I want you all to know that this is a doable challenge. I want you folks to find yourself an army and get cracking. Or even better, go through that backlog of yours and just make a day of it. Let's look at the finished product and let the music take us into the ether. It is over. 24 hours have passed, and I would be crazy to say that I am not proud of what I was able to accomplish. I finished 48 of the 51 models, and honestly I'm super happy with how they turned out. I'm not winning any competitions or awards with this paint job, but it far succeeds a lot of other models I've painted. The army blends well together, and it looks like a force that I would not want to go up against. For those of you who stuck around until the end, let me know if this is content that you'd like to see more of. If you are so inclined, check out the Patreon, the Discord server, and do all of the other socials. Until next time, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.